Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Giriraj Govardhan ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Astu Tarasara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Astu Tarasara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Prem se go Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki, Jai Lordship Sri Sri Radha Radhanath ki, Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 10. We will read from text 6 to where there's a purport, 9, right? Yeah, that's 9. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we will read from text 6 and we will do the verse together, text 9. Bhadmau shankam brihadbahu kham dishash chanu nadayan yeno dvigna drisha kshathar upadevyo trasan brisham. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, as soon as Dhruva Maharaj reached Alakapuri, he immediately blew his conch shell, and the sound reverberated throughout the entire sky and in every direction. The wives of the Yakshas became very much frightened. From their eyes, it was apparent that they were full of anxiety. Tato nishkramya balina upadeva mahabataha asahantastan ninidham abhipetu udayudaha. O hero Vidura, the greatly powerful heroes of the Yakshas, unable to tolerate the resounding vibration of the conch shell of Dhruva Maharaj, came forth from their city with weapons and attacked Dhruva. So like Dhruva Maharaj blew his conch shell just to notify them, I am around. You'll notice that the Kshatriyas don't just invade another person's property. If they approach another person for battle, they will stand outside the city or maybe something like that, just to let them know, let's sort these things out. But they don't invade another person's property with their families like that. So this is an important point. Satan apato vira santan apatato vira ugra dhanva maharataha ekaikam yugapat sarvan ahan banais tribihi. Dhruva Maharaj, who was a great charioteer and certainly a great bowman also, immediately began to kill them by simultaneously discharging arrows 3 at a time. Now we read in text 9. Te vai lagata lagnaistair ishu bhi sarva evahi madva nirastam atmanam asha ashamsan karmatasya tat te vai lagata lagnastair ishu bihi sarva evahi madva nirastam atmanam ashamshan karmatasya tat te vai lagata lagnastair ishu bihi sarva evahi madva nirastam atmanam ashamshan karmatasya tat. Tevai lagata lagnastare Ishubhi sarva eva hi. Ishubhi sarva eva hi. Madhva nirastam atmanam Ashamsan karma tasya tat. Mataji's Devai lagata lagnastai Ishubhi sarva eva hi. Nirastam atmanam Ashamsan karma tasya tat. Devai lagata lagnaste Ishubhi sarva eva hi. Atmanam Ashamsan karma tasya tat. Devai lagata lagnaste Ishubhi sarva eva hi. Atmanivasa atmanam Ashamsan karma tasya tat. Te, they, why, certainly. This is not the why like you're going to go somewhere. Only the Indians got the slang. Let's buy there. Let's buy on book distribution. This is not the same. This why is a Sanskrit word and it means certainly. Okay. Lagata lagnae, intent upon their heads. Tae, by those. Ishubhi, arrows. Sarve, all of them. Eva, certainly. He, without fail. Madhva, thinking. Nirastam, defeated. Atmanam, themselves. Ashamsan, praised. Karma, action. Tasya, of him. Tat, that. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva Maharaj, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. This is one of the qualities of the Kshatriya. If you know the Bhagavad Gita, explains the characteristics and qualities of the different ashramas and varnas. So there Krishna explains the qualities and characteristics of the brahmanas. Then in text 43, chapter 18, text 43, Krishna speaks about the qualities and attributes of the Kshatriyas. And this heroism is the first one on the list. The purport. Okay, let's read the translation together. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva Maharaj, they could very easily understand their awkward position. And they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as soon as they lauded the action, but as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. Purport. The spirit of fighting in a sporting attitude is very significant in this verse. The Yakshas were severely attacked. Dhruva Maharaj was their enemy, but still, upon witnessing the wonderful heroic acts of Maharaj Dhruva, they were very pleased with him. This straightforward appreciation of an enemy's prowess is a characteristic of a real Kshatriya spirit. They never run away from the battlefield, right? That's why. Before I say anything, let me first offer respects to the spiritual masters. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Dadati Swapatantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpadurubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva Maharaj, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. Just imagine you are on the battlefield and you're fighting an opponent that is stronger than you as a Kshatriya. Because you have to understand the mentality of the person they're talking about, the Kshatriya. Not only was he a Kshatriya, but he was a Vaishnava, he was a devotee of the Lord. So he was 10 times empowered than any ordinary person in that specific Varna. He was extremely powerful. He was the emperor of the entire universe. So the Yakshas being warriors themselves, who were the Yakshas actually of followers of? Yes, Lord Shiva, they were also followers of Kuvera, the deity of treasury. And he was the brother of Ravan. But Ravan wasn't a Yaksha, he was a Rakshasa, right? The fighting spirit the spirit of fighting in a sporting attitude is very significant in this verse. The Yakshasas were severely attacked. Okay, so the first quality that Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita is what? Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 text 43. What is the first quality that Krishna explains? If all of you all heard me from the beginning, then you will get this first one, right? Let the Matajis answer. Heroism. That's it. Heroism. Which personality in the Mahabharata was declared an hero because of his valiant fighting? He eventually died on the battlefield, but he died in a very heroic way. Abhimanyu, his mother, Subhadra, Lord Krsna explained her how they actually, on the battlefield, how they make that, what you call it? It's, sorry? Phalanx, but this is a specific one. Chakra Vyuho or something. That's what it's called. So he explained how that actual thing is actually created, how to enter it, but then she fell off to sleep. And then the Lord didn't complete how to get out of it. So Abhimanyu got inside. Now, when the Lord explained this to his mom, he was in the womb. So he was actually hearing everything. How the circle is created, how to enter it. But then his mother fell off to sleep. So the Lord stopped speaking. He didn't explain how to get out of it. So Abhimanyu told Yudhishthira Maharaj when they actually created that circle, he said, I can get in, but I don't know how to get out. So Yudhishthira Maharaj and all the other representatives were there. They said, okay, you go in and we'll protect you. But when he went inside, they were so sharp, they closed the whole circle. Nobody else could enter it. Then Abhimanyu was basically fighting thousands of soldiers by himself. And he was 16 years old. 16 years old. And he was fighting thousands of soldiers. And who was his opponents? Bhishma, Dronacharya, Karna, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya. These weren't ordinary soldiers. They were extremely powerful. He fought them. He actually made them frightened. He was dismantling their bows, hitting them off the chariots. They were falling to the ground. Then they realized the only way we can actually defeat this boy is if we kill him by trickery. So what did they do? They all fought him same time, not one by one. They all started fighting with him at the same time. Arrows and swords, everything. Then Karna, he went from the back of Abhimanyu and he pushed the sword through his. And Abhimanyu was still fighting. Then all the other soldiers, they were continuing throwing weapons at Abhimanyu, and his body was full of weapons, swords, arrows, but he was still fighting. He was not giving up, even till he went down on his knees, but he was still shooting arrows until he was over. And in that battle, he killed so many of the opposing armies. It was unbelievable. It was said that Bhishma won there. He was already on the bed of arrows. And when he heard of what they did to Abhimanyu, he was extremely sad. And he actually chastised the Kauravas. How can you fight in such an evil way? This is not the symptom of a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya never ever kills a man that is already engaged in fight. One by one, right? They say, but they all engaged in this fight together. So you can just imagine 16 years old Kshatriya, how powerful he was. Right? That so many great warriors had to fight with him at the same time. You can just imagine what kind of a Kshatriya was he. He was brilliant, right? So then he was given the title of hero in the battle. So that's the quality of a Kshatriya. What's the second quality that the Lord mentioned? Power. Yes, power. So once, Jarasan, he actually fought with the Lord 18 times, right? Then on the 18th time, the Lord ran away from the battlefield. And what did they say? What did they say? The fellow ran away. Then they gave him a name, Rancho, one who ran away from the battlefield. So then the Lord knew that He is going to give Bhima the opportunity to kill Jarasan. So they had to perform the Ashwamedha Yagya. I'm not sure who it was. Suggested to Yudhishthira that actually, in order for you to successfully perform this Yagya, no, it was actually the Rajashuya Yagya. He said, in order for you to do this, you need to get rid of all your enemies. And there's one enemy that will not agree to your position as the Raja or the Emperor. So he said, you need to get rid of him. And that person was Jarasan. So Krishna says, okay, you know what, we can go and sort this guy out, but we need to go there dressed as Brahmanas. Right? So it was Krishna, Arjuna and Bhima. They all went to Jarasan as Brahmanas. So when they entered, Jarasan, he said, my dear Brahmanas, you ask me for anything and I will give to you, although I know you are not Brahmanas. So how did he know they were not Brahmanas? How did Jarasan know they were not Brahmanas? Radhika Jivan? He saw the texture of the body, but the body was sculpted, right? Jai Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Giriraj Govardhan ki. He said, no, because Brahmanas, they either got a pot or they got no pot. They have a stomach because they eat lots of prasadam, nice prasadam, and they don't have muscles, right? But he saw on the soldier, on the shoulders of Arjuna especially, that there were marks of the bow. You know that case thing that they put on the shoulders, and their shoulders were broad, they were big. And he says, you guys are not Brahmanas, you all must reveal your identity, but because you are coming in disguise of the Brahmanas, I will respect you all as good as Brahmanas. But you ask me for whatever you all want and I'll give. So all three of them said, we want to fight with you. So then the Lord started first. He says, actually I am Krishna. And then Arjuna says, I am Arjuna. And Bhima says, I am Bhim. So I actually read this pastime like years ago, maybe 10 years ago or something. So I'm basically speaking from my memory. So Jarasan told Krishna, actually you are not fit to fight with me because you are a son of a coward. You're a coward boy, so we are not equals. I'm Kshatriya, you are coward boy. So Krishna says, very well. So then Arjuna is his turn. So Jarasan said to Arjuna, actually you are small and I am big. You cannot fight me because I may be too strong for you. When he came to Bhima, Bhima says, he told Bhima, you're the only one that's worthy to actually fight with me because you are considered to be having the strength of 10,000 elephants. So they actually went on to fight. But the point here is power. That Jarasandha could see the strength of his opponents, although they came as Brahmanas. Although they came as Brahmanas to ask him for a fight, because if they came as Brahmanas, then because they know Jarasandha was very affectionate towards Brahmanas, and he was also very charitable. So if you come as a Brahmana, and if you would ask him anything, he will give you. So they said, hey, if we come as Kshatriyas, then we may not even go in or enter into the city. But if we go as Brahmanas, then very easily we'll enter the city and we will get what we want, combat. And they already planned that Bhima will fight him. But the point is, he is recognized by his power, his strength. Right? So the next quality is actually determination. So how do the Kshatriyas become determined? What did Prabhupada say? How can we become determined? Celibacy, good point. Celibacy. What does Krishna speaks about determination in the Bhagavad Gita? You read? He says you can become determined by becoming or following brahmacharya. And that goes for all of us, right? He says, Satatam kirta yanto mam yatantascha drida vrata. If you got drida vrata, yeah. Namayantascha mam nityam. Yeah, this is a very long verse that I learned some time ago and I never recite it again. But anyway, it says, always chant in my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So always chant in my glories. So the moment actually we break regulative principles, the determination is checked. The potency is checked. We become weak. So in our movement, Prabhupada wanted everyone to become Brahmanas, right? He says he wanted to create a society of Brahmanas. But in order to become determined, we need to follow the regulative principles very strictly. And this means we have to internalize this thing, because all these qualities that is explained here, it's actually cultivated within. Right? It's a mental thing, this. So it is said that if you chant Hare Krishna, and if you hear in every mantra, then next thing will happen. First you chant with attention. Next is that you'll actually start to feel, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. Feeling will come naturally. Simply by hearing, everything else follows. All you have to do, Prabhupada says, you just hear. What do you hear? You concentrate on the vibration. And if you concentrate carefully on the chanting or the vibration, you'll feel that the vibration is vibrating the entire body. Am I right? If you concentrate on the vibration, you'll feel the entire body is being vibrated. So this chanting of Hare Krishna not only purifies the mind, it reverberates in the entire body. You can feel the mantra entering into the heart, and it affects your entire body, it affects your mind. But it starts off in the mind and it penetrates and it enters into all your senses. Because one may say, chanting Hare Krishna, I conquered the mind and I conquered the senses. Yeah, it actually starts from the mind. The Hare Krishna mantra also purifies the senses, every sense in the body. You try to figure that out. Right? Sense of touch, everything is being engaged when you chant Hare Krishna. You hold in your fingers on the mala, right? And you rotating the beads. This is a sense of touch is engaged. But the sense of touch is also engaged when the Lord enters into the heart. Because when the Lord enters into the heart of the devotee who is chanting, then the sense of touch is also being engaged. Like that. Who was it? Rupa Goswami says, upon hearing the holy name So the Lord enters into his heart and dances there, and he says, I desire many, many more tongues. Because just one tongue is experiencing so much of bliss. If I have many, many more tongues, the ecstasy will be much greater. Right? I find that when you chant Hare Krishna with attention, it's so wonderful. And if you have experienced it once, just once, that experience will continue. No matter what circumstances you may find yourself in later. But that experience will actually guide you. It will be there for you when you are in times of distress. Right? So that determination comes from following celibacy. So how to be celibate? It's Kali Yuga, right? You tell people to be celibate out there. Is it possible? It's not possible. You cannot tell the people out there, I want you to give up sense enjoyment. And then it's going to happen like that. What did Prabhupada say? If you forcefully ask somebody to give up sense enjoyment, it will increase. When you abruptly give up sense pleasure, the attraction towards the sense enjoyment increases. So what does he say about conquering the senses like that? What's that verse? Rasa varjam rasopyasya param drisva nivartate nira rasya dei. So he says, one should develop a higher taste. Right? I need to start reading Bhagavad Gita like how I used to, so I'll remember all the verses, because they all are in a far distance, but the ideas I still have. So the taste has to be cultivated. And in the beginning, Krishna gives you the taste. Even if you are not following the regulative principles 100%. Because I remember when I first started, I was still smoking. But when I was chanting Hare Krishna, it was amazing, it was nice. Until once my brother criticized me, says, what kind of devotee are you? You're smoking and you doing all this. And I said, I gave it up immediately. So sometimes criticism is good for you, because they make you better, right? Constructive criticism. But we shouldn't criticize others, right? We should help others. But sometimes constructive criticism is there to help you. So when anybody tells you anything, hey Haribol Prabhu, you need to rectify this thing and sort yourself out. You don't say, I'm going to leave this movement, I'm going to go play my harmonium somewhere else maybe. No, you have to see, what is this person telling me that can actually help me? Right? Your dear brother didn't take you somewhere. You can't tell him, Haribol, you never take me there. So what's the next quality that Krishna explains? After determination, what comes? Resourcefulness. Who can tell me what's the English meaning of resourcefulness? These qualities are very important, right? Because Krishna explained them in the Bhagavad Gita. It might be very boring, but it's very important. Resourcefulness. I thought you guys were university students. You know what? I'll tell you a story. When I came to this temple, I only had a standard 7 pass. Because I was so naughty in school, my father told me, forget about it. Because the principal was calling him all the time. Standard 7 I passed, and I met my friends. Then we got involved in bad habits. I stopped my learning. I was only standing behind the school. There was a shop called Tico's. So that shop was owned by Akrura's father. Akrura's father owned that shop, and he should sell me cigarettes and all these things every day. So when that Prabhu got initiated, I said, Prabhu, you remember me from Tico days? He says, yeah, I remember you. So when I came here with my standard 7 pass, I wanted to join his movement. There was one Prabhu chanting his rounds in the temple room. His name was Nitai. This was after I spoke to Rohini Nandan and stuff. So I came to this temple. I wanted to speak to somebody because I wanted to join this temple. But I wanted to become a brahmachari because I read about it in Prabhupada's books. So that boy told me, Haribol, don't worry about being a brahmachari. Just go and work and then you can come like that. I was getting irritated with this fellow because he was always trying to avoid that question. And then eventually I spoke to somebody else after a few years of practicing. Going out the temple, I can't remember the face of the person, but he told me, Prabhu, you didn't finish standard 7. You finished standard 7, you didn't do standard 8. He told me, go and finish your school and then come back. Now I'm thinking, I'm going to be 27 years old. This man is asking me to go back to standard 8. But you know what? I told my father, let's go to that college and find out if they do a standard 8, 9 and 10. So there was a N1, N2 and N3. So I went and did that thing. And I completed it. I was 29 years old when I finished. Then I came here and I told Swarup, I'm ready to join. And then he told me, okay. But I completed my matric. I went back. And I remember at standard 7 pass, I was 27. I went to Pyari Mohan to the university. And he was giving a talk and there was one scientist student there. And they were using all I words. So him and Pyari Mohan got in like a argument kind of debate. But I could check Pyari Mohan was on top of his game, yeah. Because he was very intelligent. So they were talking about molecules and cells and I was sitting there and I'm thinking, what are they talking about? Right? And then they told me, hey, next week you give in a talk. Now I'm thinking, hey, these guys are talking about molecules and everything. What am I going to come and speak here? Right? But I didn't end up talking because I said, hey, these guys are beyond my thing. But when I went out and distributed books to the students, I found that these people didn't know nothing. You understand? They didn't know nothing. For one, they couldn't control the senses. Because the person who controls the senses is practically a very educated person. So everyone sitting here, I'm sure you all are controlling your senses. Radhika, Ravindra Swarup led such a good kirtan yesterday. It was cracking the heart open. It was amazing, powerful. That was the mercy of all the Vaishnavas. There was a crowd here yesterday. But it was wonderful. It means, you can lead kirtans like that if you control your senses. Definitely. Krishna becomes pleased with you. You become determined. Also, prasadam. Resourcefulness. I remember reading the Oxford Dictionary translation years ago, 10 years ago maybe, because I studied this verse in Bhakti Shastri. And resourcefulness, I was thinking about it. What does this mean? And resourcefulness, from my memory, it means to act, to have the ability to act in a difficult situation, in a specific time when there's a need for doing something. A resourceful person immediately comes up with a solution. Like you check Raghunath Bhatta Prabhu. If there's anything in the temple that anybody needs, immediately he comes up and he says, I can do this thing. Or he gets somebody and he knows how to engage the people. So a resourceful person knows how to engage others also. This man has a lot of money, okay. Haribol, we need certain. So now we're going to be going to Mozambique and Namibia and we're going to visit some other countries or we're going to travel around the country. But we need to be resourceful because we need to know how to engage others. Because there's a need. There's a need to empower devotees in Krishna consciousness. And if people who are practicing Krishna consciousness, if they see that there are resourceful people around, and if there are people who can engage them properly, then their faith in Krishna consciousness increases. We need to become resourceful. So this is one of the qualities of a Kshatriya. Now I'm thinking, hey, wait. Prabhupada says he wanted to create a society of Brahmanas. But the qualities that I explained of a Kshatriya is also the qualities that we all want. We want to become hero, right? You conquer your senses, you become a hero. Because they say conquer yourself and you conquer the world. So who is the real hero? The real hero, before I come to Krishna consciousness, I should study the books of Marcus Aurelius. Because I was much into conquering the self. And I found that Stoicism was very powerful. You'll find that there's a specific program going on among certain people who want to follow brahmacharya in their own way. They created a society, a thing called NoFap, right? And a lot of their stuff that they got comes from Marcus Aurelius. A lot of their stuff. Because Marcus Aurelius was known as an emperor of Rome, but he was just not an ordinary emperor. He was an emperor who was very moralistic. He stood by moral principles. And he conquered himself in many ways. The only thing with him was he didn't know Krishna. And you all can conquer yourselves not by going to that method of Stoicism, although some of the stuff can really inspire you, but we get inspiration from Srila Prabhupada. We get our inspiration from Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is Krishna's mercy upon us. He gave us everything through our acharyas. You don't need to go anywhere else. You're looking for some motivation. You don't need to get out of this movement. Prabhupada said everything is in my books. Simply study, read, and share this knowledge. You'll find that, because I find that amongst devotees, you look at the status, on the WhatsApp, they quote in so many different people, which is unnecessary. These things are coming from people who haven't conquered themselves even. You understand? Krishna is telling you how to conquer yourselves. And how to understand what Krishna is saying is through Srila Prabhupada. If you go and you're in the 16th chapter, Divine Demoniac Natures, there you'll see Prabhupada explaining all these aspects: determination, tolerance, humility, resourcefulness. All these things will be is actually explained there. Prabhupada explains it. When you read that thing, you become so motivated. Our problem is we don't study Prabhupada's books. We're looking for motivation somewhere else. And the effect you have in the movement is practically little to nothing. So when we study Srila Prabhupada's books, and if you apply those teachings in your life, they conquer you. They conquer you. If you're struggling with a certain principle, and if you continue reading Prabhupada's books, and if you continue chanting Hare Krishna, you will conquer these things. There's nothing that you are having problems with that cannot be conquered. Otherwise, why Krishna will speak Bhagavad Gita? Why Prabhupada was sent? If it's so hard that you cannot give up your Maya, then why Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita? Why are you here? You're here because you can conquer yourself. We are here because we can change ourselves. We are here because we have the ability to change the world. That's why you have been given the opportunity. You have been given the opportunity. Krishna chose us. Prabhupada chose us. That's why we're here. And we can do much more. All we need to do is to inspire ourselves. Study Srila Prabhupada's books very humbly. Give this knowledge out. Let us do things to help Prabhupada. But first, we have to boil the milk. We have to boil the milk. Stop boiling milk. When you stop boiling the milk, you'll have cold milk. Tida Brata was boiling the milk. But he got upset with us because we made him boil the milk every night. So he retired. Somebody has to boil the milk. Actually, when you boil milk, because I used to make Mangal sweets, when you boil that milk, it takes so long. You get many realizations when the thing is becoming thicker and thicker. One realization I got, this service is not for me. Because I should check, this thing was taking so long to boil on a Saturday. The Harinam party used to be going into the car, and from the window I should look, and my heart should pain. And I was thinking, why you gave me the service, Krishna? Srila Prabhupada ki. Are there any comments, questions? Dhridavrata, it's so nice to see you back in Sri Sri Radha Radhanath. I was so happy that you are coming back. Me also, I wasn't that far away. You was in Mauritius, man. Yeah, it's nice to be back. But I want to be with Raghunath Bhatta. We want to do some traveling and help the country and help the countries that are neighboring South Africa. I have the desire to revolutionize Krishna consciousness. So we can only do it together. We have to work together. But we need to increase our own Krishna consciousness, our own feelings towards Krishna, and share this with others. Krishna consciousness is a feeling, right? And Prabhupada says we should distribute this feeling, this Krishna consciousness to everyone else. So first you feel it. First you have to feel this. And you give it to everyone else. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.